Heisman finalists were announced. We've got 4 finalists. You know what I've always said? I think that we should always have at least 4 finalists. I think it should probably just be 5, the top 5 vote getters. I don't care if the 5th guy is miles behind the winner. I think that being a Heisman finalist is important. I've always said this, and so we should have a select number that doesn't vary from year to year. As it is, we do vary it from year to year based on the vote and how close the players are in terms of the voting, and we have 4 this year. So Jayden Daniels from LSU, no surprise there. Michael Penix Jr. from Washington, no surprise. Bo Nix, Oregon, obviously, and then Marvin Harrison Jr., the wide receiver from Ohio State. All of these guys are clearly deserving, and rather than just going through and like debating the merits of each player, which you can, by the way, and that I guess would be interesting, I immediately saw that, and I'm like, man, in this week in which we've got portal extravaganza, and it seems like every single player in college football is at least flirting with the transfer portal, here we are trying to establish the most outstanding player in the sport and give him the most prestigious individual honor in American sports, the Heisman Trophy, and 3 of these guys are transfers, right? And it's just, it jumped out to me how impactful transfers have been in college football. You go back, last year's winner was Caleb Williams, transfer. Obviously, the couple of Bama winners are not in that boat, but then you've got Joe Burrow, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. Modern college football, in so many ways, has been shaped and is about the transfer player. And obviously, these finalists are evidence of that, 3 of the 4 being transfers. And it just got me thinking, and this is what I wanted to talk about today. I want to talk about the transfer era, and not just the portal, but also the rule about the transfer. Is it good? Is it beneficial? Where are there adjustments that can be made in order to make not only it better for the player, but also for the program? I think, to me, that's more interesting, and why you would come to a show like this is to figure out all of those details about the sport. It's something that I think is very interesting. So, first things first, I love the transfer era of college football. I think it's provided remarkable opportunity for players, from quarterbacks, which are obvious, to any position player. I think that in life, guys can make mistakes clearly and make decisions that they feel like were right at the time. I'm not talking about like drastic mistakes. I'm just saying, like, you choose a school and it ends up being like, well, you know what? This wasn't the right fit for me. It wasn't the right choice. And then having the autonomy and the agency to be able to move and better your fit and better your situation, I think has been remarkable for the sport in so many ways. It's obvious from the player's perspective, like I just, discussed there, but it's also from the program's perspective. Think of what's happened now in college football. You can make an argument that this season, what we just experienced with so many quality teams, was in large part due to the transfer portal. You see, in high school recruiting, what we were getting and what the playoff had given us, because you could only really define 4 teams as successful in any given year, is we are starting to see the talent really coalesce at a small number of places throughout in the country. It was basically Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, and then maybe, I know this is kind of funny, but like Texas A&M. And one of these is not like the other. I understand that. But the transfer era has now allowed that talent to disperse. If the fit is not correct at those places, it's allowed the talent to disperse. And I think that we have more good teams, maybe less great teams, but more good teams than we did 5, 10, 15 years ago. That's been great for the sport. Now teams can fill holes, build rosters, and play and better themselves season in and season out. Rather than on a 3 and 4 year rolling basis, you could really transform your roster in a single year. We've seen coaches have more success in their first year than we have throughout the history, generally speaking, in college football. It's an unprecedented time, and it's been a great time. The transfer era has been awesome for college football. I am totally in favor of it. I think that from a program's perspective, you get hope. You can fill the roster. You get to fill the roster with known commodities. Players get autonomy and mobility, and they can correct a mistake. They can find opportunity and get on the field. Now, this era is largely because of the 2021 rule change, in which you get a one-time transfer basically exception. So before that, it's important that we just kind of keep all of it in context. In order to transfer free, you would either have to be a graduate or you would have to apply for a hardship waiver. Now, a lot of people were applying for hardship waivers and getting them because the schools didn't want to fight against it. So what ended up happening is there was a lot of guys that were transferring without penalty, and then all of a sudden one would be deemed like ineligible by the NCAA. And the inconsistency was maddening for fans and programs alike. And so all of a sudden, here comes this rule. Players get more autonomy, and now they can move. And so since the rule change, now you can really transfer freely 3 different ways. One time, anytime you want. Graduate, even if you've already transferred before, or apply for a hardship waiver for, anything along those lines. Now, what that rule has done, though, as great as it's been, and as I'm going to continue to say, I'm highly in favor of it. What it's started to do now, as we move forward from 2021, 2022, now 2023, we're 3 years in here. And now what we're starting to realize is like, okay, this one-time transfer rule is a little bit like dessert. It's awesome, but it's probably a bit overused. I can't have it all the time. I can't have 4 desserts in 30 minutes. And so all of a sudden I'm starting to sit back and think to myself, like, okay, hold on a second. This is like being a parent, everything in moderation. If unchecked, I do think that there are some downsides to what's going on right now in terms of the portal. And I think that can be fair. And let me point out for a moment that this conversation in a lot of ways is similar to like a draft evaluation. So for instance, or even a Heisman, let's even call it like a Heisman. Let's say you make an argument for one of the players. Like, let's say I'm making an argument for Jayden Daniels. Well, then in that argument, anybody who wants Michael Penix or Bo Nix or Marvin Harrison immediately thinks like, well, why do you hate Michael Penix? I don't hate Michael Penix. I was actually just making an argument for Jayden Daniels, or vice versa. Let's say you're trying to make an argument for Michael Penix, and people are like, why do you hate Jayden Daniels? Oh my gosh, you always hate the SEC. I don't hate Jayden Daniels at all. And in a lot of ways, this transfer argument acts in the same way. If you're talking about the mechanisms of the transfer portal and some of the downsides of what's going on right now, people automatically think like, well, why don't you like the fact that these players can move around? I do. I love the players moving around. I think, again, it is ushering in, as I say in the open of this show, kind of a golden age of college football. We're seeing players play longer in our sport, stay longer. That's a good thing. They get opportunities. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.